other children to read and to do their letters. So they also did, and we know that they learned music and they learned dancing, which is still an important social skill in the time period. Legend has it that Dr. Briscoe really didn't think those were kind of frivolous pleasures, but it was necessary, especially the farther back in the centuries you go. For elite women and men, knowing how to dance was a very important social skill that they had to know how to do. Let's see. So we do have some quills. So you can take, in the early days, in the 1700s, you might use a quill. Anything you can make a point on, you can dip it in some ink and write with. So, but by the time in the 19th century, you're using a metal tip. That's the forerunner to the pens that we use today. And dip it in the ink. And I think there's an extra resource about how to make your own ink too that you may want to watch in addition to this. So when they're done with their schooling, they're either, especially girls, they're either ready for marriage, or by the time some of the Briscoe daughters graduate, they do go on to higher education. We know that Margaret Briscoe went to a very strict boarding school in New Jersey for at least maybe a year. And then we know that Jeanette Briscoe and then a Briscoe granddaughter, of course, were teachers and administrators at St. Mary's Female Seminary, which is the forerunner to St. Mary's College of Maryland that's there today. So George has been sitting out here this whole time. What do you think he's been doing out there? Well, he has been what? What did we say? Yeah, those are all good answers. Yeah, he's listening. He's also learning. So remember that people could learn even if they weren't even allowed to go to a formal classroom like this one. They could learn because they listened and they went back to a private somewhere and they practiced their letters. And we have archaeological evidence that they did just that back in their quarter. And they would learn to music. Many of the Kane children were musical, and they were talented in knowing what herbs and plants worked well for different ailments and used them as medicines. So they learned by listening and paying attention to what's going on around them. So listening is always a good skill to have, always. In today's classroom, of course, you have children naturally talk more and ask more questions and want to be totally personally involved in their learning, and that is good. That is good. But just let me say, it's not always the only way we learn, right? People learn from all different things. So I might suggest some things for you to do once you discover and learn all there is to learn at this schoolhouse. You might want to visit Drayton Schoolhouse, which is open to the public. Now check what times they're open, but they are open some Saturdays usually, but during this time, during COVID time, please check ahead. But that is open to the public, and it's a restored school for Black children in St. Mary's County. So that might be a wonderful place to visit in conjunction with your field trip here at Sotterley Schoolhouse. So what questions do you have? So we know through primary documents, and I hope you go visit these primary documents, look up the census, and find out who was here and how old they were at Sotterley School, and think about them boarding in the house. And they would have stayed in an upstairs room, probably over the drawing room. There's a small, we call it the short bedroom, because when they raised the ceiling, that bedroom got shorter by about 1770. So Mabel Ingalls, one of our last private owner, named it the Briscoe Room. So we believe that that's where the girls from the boarding school would have lived, and they would have taken their meals. So think about this huge household of at least, over 20 white people, adults and children, living at the Briscoe house. So the enslaved population had to do the laundry for all these people, and the bedding for all these people, the cooking for all these people, the house cleaning for all these people. So the amount of work. So we know that during the times when the Briscoes ran a boarding school here, they needed more labor to take care of everything. So you got to think about that perspective. So you have enslaved people doing work around the farm and the house, and the school going on. And think about George sitting out there on the porch, and what is he gleaning from all of this? He's learning. He's just learning in a different way. And that's been our story this year, right? Learning in different ways and learning how, and some of it is going to be good, and we're going to keep it, right? Some of these things we've discovered we can do, and we want to keep these methods, and some things, some things might go back to the way they were. So we just never know. But education, I want to encourage everyone, education is something, once you have it, no one can take it away from you. So education is one of the best investments that you or your parents will ever make. So I wanted to just tell you that, because what education does for you, children, is give you more choices in life. It gives you more choices. So education is good, and anytime you have the opportunity, take advantage of it, okay? And don't embarrass your parents, okay, in school. That's not good. Don't embarrass your parents. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me. And if you have any questions at all, you can always contact the Education Department at Historic Sotterley. Thank you very much.